We just got the biggest Apple Watch Series 8 leak yet, which honestly changes everything. According to leaker Shrimp Apple Pro, the front glass for the Apple Watch Series 8 is going to be flat. What this means is that we might actually see that flat frame design that John Prosser, Ming-Chi Kuo, and Mark Gurman talked about last year for the Series 7. But okay, how accurate is Shrimp Apple Pro? Well, he's fairly new to the scene, but he was actually the only one to accurately predict that the Series 7 would remain rounded. He also predicted a number of other specific details, like the single rail speaker grille, the thicker housing, the new 41 and 45mm sizes, and the thinner bezels. He was also the first one to give us a look at the iPhone 14 Pro's pill plus hole cutout, which was then corroborated by a number of other sources, including CAD models by a couple of publications with a great track record in the past. And he then gave us the exact dimensions, which were also backed up by a number of well-regarded sources. So I'm not saying that he's 100% correct with this flat frame design theory, but I do think that there is a lot of credibility to his leak. Plus, I don't know if you guys remember, but last year when everyone was talking about the flat frame Series 7, which never ended up happening, we even got to see CAD models posted by 91 Mobiles. And 91 Mobiles have shared dozens, if not hundreds, of accurate CAD models in the past for many popular devices. So it was very strange how they were so far off this time. Now, there is of course another possibility that we would get a Series 8 in the same design that we have now, and then we would get another version of it with this new flat design. Well, another version is very likely going to happen, making it the second big feature of the Series 8. We've already covered this in our previous videos, and it is looking extremely likely that Apple will indeed be doing this. Mark Gurman has stated that Apple is working on a version of the Apple Watch with a rugged casing that is aimed at athletes, hikers, and others who use the Apple Watch in more extreme conditions. Now, of course, that most people would envision this looking something like this. A super buffed up Apple Watch with a rubber casing and something that doesn't necessarily look that aesthetically pleasing. But what if instead of the rugged version looking like this, it would simply be the flat frame version, which we all know would be slightly more durable thanks to those flat sides not requiring a curved display. We even made a concept with this in mind, which we showed you in the last video, where we raised the lip of the chassis to go over the display in order to protect it even further. We then gave the side button a texture so that you could feel it even when you're wearing gloves, and more importantly, we made it thicker to accommodate a larger battery, something that this rugged version would very likely have. Mark Gurman also stated that Apple will be launching 3 Apple Watch models this year: the regular Series 8, the SE2, and this rugged version. And Russ Young even stated that a Series 8 would come in 3 sizes. Based on previous years, Apple has only changed the case sizing when they introduced a new design. This is also quite interesting, as with the Series 7, I do feel like the 45mm is too large for me, but a 41 is just too small. A 43 in between would be perfect. Okay, now the third new feature is the new body temperature sensor. We've heard about Apple working on new health sensors for the Apple Watch before. There have been rumors about a glucose meter and a blood pressure meter, but as we all know, this won't be happening anytime soon because of the sheer difficulty of adding these sensors into such a small device. Samsung does already have a blood pressure meter, but you need to calibrate it with a real monitor, which kinda defeats the purpose of it in my opinion. However, they do have way more sensors than Apple does. For example, the Galaxy Watch 4 can measure your BMI, the percentage of fat in your body, as well as your bone density, all of which the Apple Watch lacks. Well, there is one new sensor that's coming with the Series 8, and that is a body temperature sensor. This is awesome, as it could automatically detect when you have a fever or potentially even detect COVID in combination with the oxygen meter that the Apple Watch already has. But as some of you might know already, Mark Gurman stated that this will only be used for fertility planning at first. So it isn't quite clear yet if a future software update would enable a body temperature reading, or if this will be reserved for the Series 9 or later, but nonetheless, we are getting a new sensor. And number 4, something that we will be getting with the Series 8 is a new chip. The Series 7 used the same chip as the Series 6, so this new S8 chip will very likely be a pretty major upgrade. Now, personally, I don't really care about performance improvements, as even my old Series 5 was plenty fast when I was using it. What I want to see is more improvements to power efficiency so that we get an even better battery life. Now, fast charging completely changed the way I use my Series 7, but it still cannot last me more than a day and a half on its own, and that's assuming that I don't do any workouts or I don't even use cellular. The Apple Watch needs a better battery life, and I'm hoping that this new chip would deliver that. Speaking of delivery, if you want some fun tech videos delivered to you super quickly, check out our brand new ZONEofTECH Shorts channel. Okay, at number 5, we've heard rumors of satellite connectivity coming to the Apple Watch. What this means is that you'll be able to go hiking and even without a cellular signal, still be able to make SOS calls in case something were to happen to you. It does mean that you will need to be on a hill or at a high altitude so that you have a direct connection with the satellite, but the potential of this saving your life in the case of an emergency is massive. We don't yet know if this will come with a Series 8, but it is a genuine possibility, especially on that rugged version. You subscribe for updates on this rugged version of the Apple Watch as soon as we have them. At number 6, the Series 8 is said to be getting some extra health monitoring features using the current sensors. One that's being discussed is sleep apnea detection, so essentially being able to detect if your breathing stops while you sleep. The Apple Watch already has the required sensors to do this. It's just that it would require very frequent readings at night, which will affect the battery life. But this is something that Apple is looking into. Oh, and by the way, if you want to get this to work now, there is actually an app called NapBot, which recently got updated with support for sleep apnea. I would still expect native support to be slightly more accurate and potentially with a lower power consumption. Another health improvement that Apple is working on is improved atrial fibrillation detection, with the ability to calculate burden, or how often a person is in the state of atrial fibrillation. At number 7, we have car crash detection, which is pretty self-explanatory. The ability to use the accelerometer and the gyroscope to detect when you've been in a car crash and automatically dial the emergency services. Another great example of a potentially life-saving feature. And at number 8, according to Mark Gurman, the Series 8 will feature some major updates to activity tracking. Now, he hasn't really said what those are. One could imagine just an updated activity ring UI, but it could be much more than that. I'm guessing that Apple will add an extra ring to the already existing move, exercise, and stand rings. Maybe one that indicates your overall health, which takes all the data from Apple Health to estimate this. These are the 8 features to expect, but on top of these, we're also expecting to see some major software updates with watchOS 9. Mark Gurman reports that Apple plans on adding a low power mode, similar to the one on the iPhone, which will still allow you to use your Apple Watch just as you would, but the CPU would run at a lower clock speed to extend your battery life. And interesting enough, Mark also claims that many of the current built-in watch faces would be updated, which Apple never does unless the size of the watch changes, which so far has changed with the Series 4 and the Series 7, which was also when we got a redesign. This makes me believe that either the rugged model or the regular Series 8 would indeed come in a third case size, just like Ross Young reported, which would require Apple to resize the watch faces for that specific watch. And if we do indeed get the rugged version, I also expect Apple to design at least one exclusive watch face for it. I gotta say, I'm quite excited for this new Apple Watch Series 8, with the 3 Apple Watch models to choose from, potentially an extra size, a temperature monitoring sensor, the new chip, and the satellite connectivity. It looks like Apple might have the best Apple Watch launch yet. But let me know, what do you guys think? Do you plan on upgrading? And what do you guys think of the idea of this rugged version of the Apple Watch? I'm Daniel, this is ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.